Hey everybody, my name is Russ and that is Lauren. Welcome to our Sunday vinyl video. If you're a longtime member of the channel, you know that we have 3 videos every single week. And this one is our one where we talk about records we either bought recently or revisited or found in the wild. This one qualifies for 2 of those 3. It's one that we found in the wild and just kind of discovered out of nowhere, really. One of the record stores here in Jacksonville that we like a great deal is called Tiger Records. And we were... I'm not really a crate digger much, but they have like a good little selection, I think, where we've been there a couple of times and without digging through tons of copies of the usual suspects of records, you can find some nuggets in there. And one of the ones that we found was Wizzard's Brew by Wizzard. It's under Wizzard, not Roy Wood, right?
It's Wizzard, yeah. Or Roy Wood's Wizzard.
Yeah, something along those lines, yeah. And for those of you who've been on the channel for a while, Roy Wood is a cat who I didn't know much about at all. And the extremely short version that I can say is, if you're familiar with Syd Barrett and the Pink Floyd story, he kind of is to the Electric Light Orchestra what Syd Barrett is to Pink Floyd. And we've done other videos on Roy Wood and ELO on the channel because Lauren knows a lot more about Roy Wood and ELO than I do. So if you're interested in more, if you found us through like ELO tags or Roy Wood tags or Wizzard tags, we have more videos on the channel. This one here today specifically is to talk about a record we just found in the wild recently. As far as the packaging goes, this is one of those things that I used to like, how vinyl back in the day was a lot more adventurous and fun. I like that this does the fold out like long ways thing, which I know used to be a lot more common than it is.
We have a couple like that in the...
Yeah, but they're all...
old.
Yeah, they're all old, and I like the art. The art very much matches the audio.
Sure does.
On the record. But we didn't know anything about this album when we bought it. You were just like, oh, look, it's more Wizzard that I don't have.
Yeah. I was familiar with a lot of the non-album singles that came from this, because like I recognize the album art from some songs that I really dig off of Spotify from Wizzard, but none of them are on this actual album. So I was like, oh, okay, let's see what happens.
And so where do you know off the top of your head where this is in the Wizzard lineage?
This is I think this is the first, this is it.
Like on its,
yeah.
That makes sense. There's a lot of reasons why that makes sense, and I don't mean that in a bad way.
Yeah,
but,
no, this is definitely like, this is a project. This is like a moment in time. We've talked a bit about 2 other Roy Wood solo albums on the channel before, and this kind of this falls in that same time frame.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could tell it's a different, it's still pretty much Roy Wood doing Roy Wood things. Right. But
well,
let's
get into that with sound. I think it sounds great. I think the mastering is great, especially for the time. I will, huge Pink Floyd fan, so I will go on about like, how is it that, late era 70s records and early 80s records, a lot of them sound like terrible, but then you get stuff like pre-Dark Side of the Moon Pink Floyd where the acoustic guitars sound like they were recorded yesterday, and I think there's a little bit of everything going on with the mixing on this record. I think some stuff you're like, wow, that sounds like it was recorded yesterday, and then other stuff you're like, so not the same guy didn't mic that mic'd the other instruments, you know what I mean? But overall I think the sound is great on it, and I don't think this has ever been reissued. This definitely would be an original pressing, and I don't think there's any reason to reissue it. Like, I think it sounds great, the way it is. So as far as the actual music goes, we don't delve too much into album reviews and stuff. But I think I said this the first time that we listened to it, and again, I don't mean this in a bad way. It's just it's my take on it. Instead of calling this album Wizzard's Brew, this could have been, here's a bunch of things Roy listened to in the last 2 weeks.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you hear Floyd, Zeppelin, there's classical elements to it.
There's grand funk happening.
There's some grand funk happening. There's straight up drum solos in the middle of the songs, And all of this, I'm saying this all like dry, but like it was great. Like there was points where we were like, if I was on the back deck taking care of things or whatever, I would turn around and go, open the door and be like, is that what I think it is? Like for several things. So very fun, very inventive. But the only thing about the album itself, and this doesn't have to do with this vinyl pressing, but is like I said before, I think some of it is mixed perfectly, and then other part, and I don't know if that's on purpose. I don't know.
I was thinking about the way you say that too, because a lot of what Roy Wood was doing with Wizzard is kind of like a nod to like older rock and roll.
Sure.
And so I think the parts that maybe sound like they're not quite right could just be him saying, "No, this is supposed to sound like it was 20 years ago."
Yeah, that's very possible. And if it does, like the intent with the mixing and mastering matters a lot to me. You know, so like if it's supposed to sound that way, fine. But if it's like somebody just didn't turn the knobs correctly, then I have an issue with it. You know what I mean? Price. We found this for $10 in what I consider to be fantastic shape. The cover's pretty beat up, but again, say it with me, everybody. You don't play the cover. So the record itself, fantastic, quiet. You know, great sounding pressing. I knocked around Discogs to look because again, this is not something that I think would ever be reissued, maybe someday, but I don't think so. I don't think there's any urgency on it. Between $10-$30 is what they go for. So price wise, if you're like Lauren and I we're like you're newer to Roy Wood at all, or you're Lauren, you've never seen this record out there. I think between 10 and 30 is reasonable. Like if you get some bougie record shop that goes and puts it at like $50, maybe that's a bit much in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
So value, I usually go on and on and on about like, well, if this, then that, and whatever else. But I mean, this is squarely your thing. We saw it for $10, and I don't even think it would. Like usually, you'll come to me and go like, "Oh, can we get this?" Not like I'm not like the holder of the finances, but you know, and I'll be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, well, let's look at this, that shape of the record or whatever."
Yeah.
With that, it was like, "Oh, and we're getting this." You know, like you instantly okay. So, where's the value in this for you? Like, where's your pain threshold? Where would you have price wise been like? I gotta decide if I want this or not.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd go much more than $20-$25 on it.
Okay.
Truthfully for me, because this is one of those things that it's not super accessible music. It's fun, but it's not super accessible music. So you really, for me, I mean, I love Roy Wood and I love what's happening with Wizzard, but it's also one of those things that I really have to be in the mood for.
Yeah. And
so I don't think I'm ever more than $25 in the mood for this.
That's fair. I totally understand that. So we always try and find great things to say about the records that we listen to and that we review, and to help you with, you know, if you're in the market for this, or if you just want to get somebody else's opinion. But what matters to us a lot too is the comment section. So let us know. Like I think the last time we did a video on anything to do with Roy Wood, one of the first comments that we got was like, "This is awesome. Who talks about Roy Wood anymore?" So you know what I mean? It's like, we're happy to, and I'm happy to keep learning about him and his music and everything too. So if you have any comments for me, anything you think we should listen to, anything else we should be checking out from Roy, by all means, drop a comment below and let us know. We have 3 videos every week, so if you would, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you know when they're coming. And as we always say, thank you so much for watching.